Hello everybody, my name's Conor McGilligan, this is One Leeds, welcome back to the latest video. This video, as always, is sponsored by Shop GNO, The Job Match Group and Match Bingo. Let's get into it. First up, The Job Match Group. Whether you're looking for your next big gig or just browsing, The Job Match Group has niche job sites made just for you. F1, retail, security and loads more. They're about matching the right person to the right job. Make sure you check them out if you're ready to level up your career. Then we've got Shop GNO, an exciting new e-commerce site where you can grab exclusive deals and discounts. Right now, One Leeds has an affiliate link just below where you can score a 25 quid membership for free, unlocking special rates and benefits. You can even list your own shop on there with way better rates than Amazon, eBay and Vinted. They've got some Leeds bits and some general bits now and launching soon, plus some great prizes just for signing up. This is all powered by a massive Leeds United fan looking to make waves in the online shopping world. So check them out and support your local. And don't forget our mates at Match Bingo, they're smashing it with footy fun. You can get 5 bingo cards for the price of 4 through One Leeds, and you can even deposit just £5 at a time to join the action. It's a big chance to win whilst having a blast with your fellow Leeds United friends. Thanks to all of our sponsors, check the links in the description, and let's get on with the video. Hello everybody, welcome back. My name is Conor McGilligan, this is One Leeds, and of course, this is the rumour mill. What is going on in your world? Apologies, I'm a little bit late, guys. Look at all the details, you know what I mean? I want to talk to you, I want to discourse, debate, discussion. I want this with you guys. I'm not just coming on, winging it. I'm here for 2 hours sometimes, just scheduling and building this whole stream. So shout out to all of you in the building. If you are new, welcome one, welcome all. Welcome to the One Leeds community. We are nearly on 200 subscribers. Do me a favor, everybody. Make sure you're slapping that subscribe button, making sure you are liking the video. And even if you're watching this on the replay, please do us a favor, slap a comment in the section below because I read all of your comments. Keep it respectful, keep it intelligent, and let's have some subjective discourse on Leeds United. What is going on, everybody? And what a wonderful day. Jaka, or should I call him Jaka Bijol, signing for Leeds United. We've still got the graphic. The graphic is still on screen. Done deal. Done deal. And that's exactly what that is. Let me just say that again. Done deal. I wanted to go into even more about Jaka. I just have to. I have to go in. And there's been news this morning about clubs who are interested, clubs who are still trying to hijack the Jaka Bijol deal. And that is kind of why I'm still looking at that and going, my goodness, what a deal we've got here. What an unbelievable deal we've got here. So much we need to get into. I did a breakdown yesterday on the immediate reaction, sort of got across a lot of my points, but you guys know what I'm like every single day. I want to get across more points. So we will be doing that. So thank you so much. Really appreciate that. All right, here we go. What's going on? Welcome, Jaka Bijol's magic. He wears a magic hat. Morning, mate. Love to see some real concrete GK links next, 100%, mate. Charlie says a few minutes longer. It's going to be 4:20. Yeah, apologies for that. Morning, Connor, Northern Gorilla. How's it going, mate? Hey up, everybody. Lee's in the building. Unavailable is available. How's it going, pal? Come on then, Connor. Hello, Immortal. Good. Hello, hello, hello. Morning, Connor. You should do a deal done channel. I shouldn't I? Cole says he's from Slovenia. He's hard as nails. He plays with Rodon, our warrior from Wales. Don't mind that, mate. Don't mind that, mate. Is that like copyright now for One Leeds? Is that what it is? Can I claim that and say that I did it? Jason has been a member for 12, is it 17 months? Shout out to you, Jason. You can become a member, everybody, by joining the channel just next to the subscribe button. Make sure you do that. You can also be a patron as well if you fancy doing that. Link in the description below for that. Carl says as well, hoping more signings. Big up all content. Bridge. Shout out to you, Carl. Thanks, mate. Really appreciate that. And let's get into it, shall we? Jam's in the building. Morning, Con. Everyone in the chat. Nobody asked Conte as well, Jackson. Yeah, we'll keep that to the group chat, mate. Right, okay. So let's get into Jaka anyway. So interesting news this morning from the Shield Gazette, and I've said to you guys before, I don't have many contacts in the world, but some of them I do are in the Northeast and are very, very decent. So I'm going to try get into it. You can believe it, you cannot believe it, but the Shields Gazette put something out, and it very much follows what I was saying yesterday when it comes to Newcastle having genuine interest in Jaka Bijol, and that being a real thing up there. They're looking for replacements. They're looking for rotation as well when it comes to Dan Burn, when it comes to Shah, when it comes to Lascelles, when it comes to Dan Burn. I mean, I would argue that Bijol could be better than all of them. genuinely. Jaka Bijol for me is probably the best defender there, I would suggest. Maybe up there with Shah. I think Shah's probably a better defender than Dan Burn, but genuinely that's the sort of player that we've got on our hands now. We've got a player on our hands, in my opinion, who could fit into multiple sides in this division. A Crystal Palace back four rotation, 100%. I'm not sure they've fully replaced Anderson. In my opinion, when it comes to that profile of signing Bijol, is that 100%. Wolves, I think he fits in. West Ham, he fits in. Man United, he fits in as a starter. Tottenham, I think he fits in as well, 100%. So this is the kind of player that we've got on our hands now. And I think he's a better all-round defender than a lot of people give him credit for, or at least give Leeds credit for getting this one done. 94th percentile for aerial duels, which is ridiculous. Ball progression stats are exceptionally good for Udinese this year and have progressed on his last season's ball progression stats and ball carrying stats. Dependable, reliability, reliable as well. The two most important statistics in football, in my opinion. He's played 34 out of 34 matches for Udinese. Ball regains, I was having a look at some of his stats this morning. Ball regains, something people aren't talking about. One of the top, he's in one of the top percentiles. I think it's the 90th percentile when it comes to ball regains in Serie A. Pre-assists as well. I know it sounds ridiculous, but from a defender, it's really important as well when you get these pre-assist stats up as well, because if you're able to build out from the back, which Jaka can do as well as being a traditional defender, these pre-assists are quite important in funneling the ball to Leeds' attackers and obviously Udinese's attackers. His pre-assists, he's third in Serie A, which is the same as Barella, Guendouzi, and Reinders. Obviously, Reinders recently moved to Manchester City, and I just think it's just I'm still elated by it. You can probably tell I'm still just buzzing by it because I think it, and these are the rumors now that we're going to get onto in this video, of which you're probably seeing online as well, and they are quite exciting and quite thrilling, really. I think it basically puts Leeds in a standpoint from the general consensus as well of, oh wow, Leeds aren't mucking around. That is a top signing. Jaka Bijol is a top signing. You'll see there's a lot of people that I respect on social media and a lot of people who've even messaged me from, my previous work who've mentioned him, who might have been part of they might have been part of a tactical analysis, a couple of bits when it's come to our publications, and they massively rate Jaka Bijol, massively rate him. So these are huge. This is huge vindication when it comes to it as well, and what Leeds have been doing. And I think the thing which I'm really excited about as well when it comes to Jaka is just the fact that he's our number one target. I think that's so important. You get your number one target completed. I mean, that is the confidence that much must just absolutely fill Underwood with, and obviously our recruitment team with must be sort of stratospheric. So I'm really happy with it. I think it's a top deal. It is probably our deal of the summer. If we can get a better deal than that, I'll be really impressed. Really, really impressed. But as I've said, I genuinely think there is a massive portion of Premier League clubs who he starts for. And bearing in mind, we're not even mentioning teams who we would rotate with in terms of that third centre back. So, yeah, as I've said before, I think he starts for Palace, won a cup this year. I think he starts for Tottenham, won a cup this year. I think he starts for Newcastle, won a cup this year. So really, really happy with that. Got him from the 20 million quid. Unbelievable negotiation. The 49ers doing it again. Trusting Parag and co. They got the recruitment right last season, which meant they didn't have to do anything in the winter window. And we knew that on the channel. We thought the squad was good enough. It was good enough. And they signed through it, and they did a brilliant job in terms of recruitment last season. So far, I don't mind the Nemetra sign. I've mentioned that several times. We mentioned what formation he can fit in. We've mentioned several bits of his traits, which Leeds don't have right now in an attacker. We've mentioned the potential that he has, the upward trajectory that he has, the fulfillment in his career, which he's probably not had yet. He's probably not hit his ceiling of which he's got. It's a very, in my opinion, risk-free signing. I really like it. I really, really like it. And I think Leeds have done an exceptional job in bringing him in rotation and beating Premier League clubs to his signature. And I also think Jaka Bijol is it's just a top signing. Absolutely top signing. So very encouraged with that this morning. Let's have a look at what you guys are saying in the chat about all of this. Sujal says, presume the Igor Pejao rumors have gone quiet so far, mate. But as we know, it kind of comes out of nowhere with Leeds, and I think we're very well aware of that right now. We're very well aware of how this comes about and how quickly it can turn as well. And I think that, I mean, Joe Donohue's reported, and look, it's with the greatest of respect, it's the Leeds. The Leeds journalists might not know as much as people do on the European circuit. I don't think they do, but Joe has said this morning as well that Leeds are working on several deals in the background. That is exactly how it's going to work. We said on the channel as well that when it came to the 1st of July, people seem to panic and think that, oh, we're not going to do anything until the 1st of July. Well, once again, that it's just false. And we're saying that on the channel. Deals can still get done in the background. And we've seen obviously with Nemecha that these deals can officially be confirmed and be discussed and can go through all the the procedures that they need to, and then we can effectively know that we've got a player, but it comes through on the 1st. So I think this is really, really important stuff of which Leeds have managed to get done. And obviously the transfer window is back open now. It was open yesterday, so things are going to move through a very quick process, in my opinion. Unavailable says it seems Leeds are much more focused this time to get the right signing in. As a fan, I'm so excited. It's amazing. And good as well. Please Work says, I really hope to see Bijol, a defender that doesn't make silly mistake like we can. He's not. He doesn't, mate. He doesn't. That's. I think that's why they brought him in as well. And yeah, he's not a player of which makes mistakes. I think that's one of his key attributes. As I said, we brought in players, in my opinion, in the wrong. I think we bought too many players who, first and foremost, were ball-orientated footballers and were footballers before defenders. I don't think we've done that this time, but you've also got someone there who can defend and who can play out from the back, which all the stats back up as well. So really, really happy with it. Really happy. Exciting times ahead. Nakata says, good morning, all. Well done, Leeds. 2 in. Who's next? We need a goalie, left back, left winger, left midfield and winger. Yeah, I think what we've got to do as well is be patient. You know, a lot of us yesterday were a little bit worried, that Newcastle were going to sweep in. And Newcastle technically could still sweep in. The deal isn't signed, sealed, and delivered. Shields Gazette suggesting this morning that Newcastle is still lurking in the background. But the medical is signed with Leeds. He's actually had an agreement with Newcastle. According to Shields Gazette this morning, there is agreement with Leeds in place. There is an agreement with Newcastle in place, but a deal has been agreed with Leeds United. A fee has been agreed, and he's on his way to the medical now. And obviously Leeds United are confident that this will get done. So obviously we're still very aware that Newcastle are lurking in the background, but it feels like it's pretty much done. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see on that one. Morning, Connor. Hey, mate. What's going on? Andrew says, morning, Connor. Hope all is well. Just wondering what's your take on the goalkeeper situation. Doesn't seem to be any links with anyone. I wouldn't worry too much, Andrew. I wouldn't worry too much, mate. And I think this is the thing. It's like every single Leeds fan wants signings now. They're going to have to methodically work through targets, but it's also dependent on maybe there's a bit more of a complex situation with the goalkeeper. You know, Jaka Bijol might have been a signing of which they could have gone for and was a little bit more simplistic, albeit towards the end, it didn't look simplistic with the clubs that were involved. Bear in mind, there was Aston Villa, there was Everton, and there was Newcastle. So that just shows what type of level we've got there. And it's so important as well. And I wanted to read this out and shout out to Laporza, I believe it was, on Twitter. And I just wanted to read this out just to give you guys a little bit of comfort when it comes to the Premier League and what Leeds United need to be absolutely solid on. I think he's a fantastic account on Twitter. Go follow him if you don't already, everybody. I think he reads the game exceptionally well. And I think we are lucky from Twitter. I think we've got a lot of very, very intelligent fans who can break the game down in a very advanced way. And, you know, I'm always trying to learn whilst I'm doing this as well from you guys, but also I think learning in terms of football is really important. And these guys contribute to that as well. I think they're absolutely exceptional on Twitter at breaking the game down. So keeping games tight can help underdogs win more games. And there's a little graph to show it. I can't get it on screen right now. But under 2.5 goals, okay, the probability that the better performing teams win is at 50%, okay? Now, weaker teams in a league benefit from keeping matches lower, scoring in order to give them a chance of causing upsets. Now, the graph is basically illustrating that keeping games tight massively outweighs, you know, teams just going out and scoring goal after goal after goal. It's all about keeping that game tight and actually building from the back and getting your foundation and getting your rear guard at an absolutely watertight state. And this is why I think the comparison is probably like Vincent Kompany's Burnley to Scott Parker's Burnley. If Burnley are managing to get a really decent replacement in CJ Egan-Riley, if they keep hold of James Trafford, they're not going to be as concerned about scoring goals. They're not. They're going to be more concerned about going up and keeping it watertight at the back, because we all want a striker who's going to get you 15 goals in the Premier League, of course, but the likelihood is that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. You get your lightnings in a bottle when it comes to players like Liam Delap, but the likelihood is it's not going to happen. There's a significantly greater likelihood that you can keep it tight at the back, and you can bring in players, profiles, styles of defenders who are traditional defenders who are going to be able to get you out of the mud and going to be able to defend deep and are going to be able to do the traditional things better. I think when you look at someone like Leeds United, attack maybe wins you games, but defenses keeps you in a league. And I think that's how we've got to look at it this season. I think that's really important to focus on this morning. And I think Jaka is going to be a big contributor to that, of course. Morning, Connor. Glad about Bijol. Seems quality and is a unit. We don't have enough physical players. I agree. Andrew says, plus, do you think going for Tanganga could still be done? Very cheap and lots of potential. Verba goes, yeah, 100%. 100%. I think that's it. Yeah. We're speaking about that this morning, actually, quite ironically. So Giles says, get the transfers done early, give Farker a full preseason, and give ourselves a decent stab at survival in the difficult first season back. We need to replicate Brentford and Bournemouth, the models. It's interesting because someone said to me on social media, they said, how many signings do you think we need, Connor? And I said 8 or 9. And then someone else came back and said, we're not playing FIFA, Connor. I said, I don't think that's unrealistic. I think when you look at maybe the players that are going to be leaving Leeds United, you maybe look at Meslier, you look at Gruev, you look at Firpo, obviously, who's already gone. What's going to be happening with Sam Byram? You've got to replace these players. 8 or 9 players coming in. Simon Jordan was doing an interview on TalkSport, and he came up with Crystal Palace nigh on 15 years ago. So that they brought 9 players in. 8 or 9 players in, but they wanted to keep the core there as well. You can still do that, but you are going to have to bring in quality. It's not about this upsetting the current squad. The current squad isn't good enough. It was brilliant in the Championship, exceptional, the best side, light years ahead. But we've mentioned before, when you look at a comparative scale of the Championship in comparison to the Premier League, we've likened it on the channel before, and all the one leaders have sort of agreed with this, and we've spoken about it several times. If you are new to the channel, it's probably quite similar to the Belgian League, and the Belgian League in comparison to the Premier League is probably about 7 tiers apart. So that's the level, that's the step up. So it's all well and good having players that can do it in the Championship, but you want to bring in, and this is all about recruitment, you bring in players. And, this was a big thing with Kinnear when, to be fair, he was talking about Orta as well back in the day. You're saying you've got to scout players with mentality as well. You've got to scout players. It's not just about the on-the-field stuff. It's about the off-the-field stuff. They come in and they're able to simultaneously mesh with the group. And I think a massive component, an example of that last season was Leeds going out in the free agent market in late November, early December, and going out and getting Joshua Gilovoggi, bringing in a personality of which they all loved. And that is so unequivocally important. Off the pitch stuff, so important. And I think Leeds have got that spot on. Bringing in characters, Jayden Bogle, Altanaka, Joshua Gilovoggi. I think they've done really well in bringing in personalities, not just brilliant players on the pitch when it comes to some of our most important. So that is a huge facet. But bringing in these players is big, and it helps with cohesiveness, and you've got to bring in leaders and experience, of course you have, but you've got to improve that quality. Because you improve that quality, that's how you stay up. You don't want to stress and over-rely on cohesion and keeping the squad as it is right now. We're not developing. 8 or 9 is not unrealistic at all. I think we should be aiming for 8 or 9. I really do. I think that's how it's got to be. If you don't do that, you're going down. You are going down. You've got to plan. You've got to execute. And especially when you bring in those players as well with maybe upward trajectories and an upscale, that means that you can develop on that. Will Nemecha be here in a year's time? Probably not. Might be, but probably not. But you can develop that because you've got a low risk, low contract, likely low wages, but you can develop on that. You've got to bring players in who fill up the bench as well and have played in the top leagues, which Nemecha has. A lot of our players on the bench haven't played in the top league. And this is the recruitment strategy, and it should be the recruitment strategy. Players who have played in the top 5, top 6 leagues. That's how it's got to be, in my opinion. So it's really important to bring in the level of player. This league is horrific. And as much as we're all excited right now, the likelihood is, the bookies will tell you that we're going straight back down, straight back down. You know, we spoke the other day about Brentford, right? And sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a rant here before we get into the rumours, but I think you guys do enjoy it. We spoke a little bit the other day about Brentford. Okay. Now you look at Thomas Frank moving on. Okay. His assistant, Justin Cochrane, has just rejected Brentford and he's moving with Thomas Frank. Thomas Frank is said to want Visser, Mbuemo, and Nathan Collins, right? 5 massive components leaving that Brentford side. Massive. We were talking the other day about one of their rotation midfielders coming to Leeds United in Yarmuluk, Yoha Yarmuluk, for 25 million quid. 25 million quid. He's like one of their rotation midfielders. You know, you've got a massive portion of that team that would start every day for Leeds United. It's a very good team. They brought Kelleher in, you know. Flecken's gone. They brought Kelleher in. Is that an improvement? Some would say that is an improvement. The Fiorentina right back they brought in for nigh on 20 million quid is said to be an exceptional player. They brought him in, I think, in January or early on. It's been confirmed right now. So the big likelihood is Brentford use that money that they're going to get from potentially Nathan Collins, from potentially Visser and Mbuemo. And we know what Brentford do. We're all very aware of what Brentford do. Keith Andrews comes in. This is the other side of the coin, by the way, because I've played both sides here. I think it's a massive risk in a transition season going with Keith Andrews. I think it's really, really risky and it might not work. But the flip side of the coin is he's been intertwined with that system and Thomas Frank and Justin Cochrane now for 12 to 18 months, knows the system a little bit. And at Brentford, it's all about the trickle down effect. It's all about how well that club is ran. So the likelihood is when they've got nigh on 100 million quid to spend, they bank a little bit of it, but then they buy someone from the third tier of the Greek league who scores 15 goals in the Premier League. So this is what I'm talking about. This level is so high that you kind of have to bring in a fair few Jaka Bijols, to even compete, because apparently they're the ones that we're dragging in right now, Brentford, who've just finished 10th in the Premier League. So there is a hell of a lot to do right now. And I think there is maybe, and it's subjective, of course, but I think there is maybe a perceived from my end naivety when it comes to Leeds only having to bring in like 4 or 5 players and just keep the core. We're going straight back down if that happens. Straight back down. You've got to effectively get a new squad and embed 5 or 6 maybe within the first team, maybe 6 or 7 within the first team, but fill out that bench as well. Manjeet says, need quality, not quantity. Bijol looks class, but I would love Premiership quality. Ryan Brentford would be something we have the power to do. Render says, I said minimum 6 or 7, and that was without taking those players leaving the club. You've just mentioned, thank you, 100% right, Connor. Now free agents, Tanganga cheap, 100%. I keep hearing Georgia Petrovic and Yahia Fofana as possible Leeds GK. I remember Petrovic at Chelsea and he was decent, but never seen Fofana before. Who do you think would be ideal? I mean, Fofana would be unbelievable, mate. You hear Fofana, we spoke about him on the channel before. I just can't see that one getting done. Fofana, I think Chelsea are highly linked with him as well. Chris's Forest were the last successful team to stay up and they brought, I think it was, I don't know, was it 18 new players? Something like that. It might have been more. I know we aren't in the same boat, but I'd say we need about 10 to 12. And it's exciting as well. It's very exciting times, but let's not underestimate how many players Leeds United actually need. Chaz says, not just starters, but we need squad depth, perhaps. We are still used to the micro squad that Bielsa ran with. Yeah, this is not Bielsa gate. The whole Premier League has literally switched up and got 10 times better since when we were last in it. I mean, 5 years in the Premier League, 5-6 years in the Premier League, that move on period is huge. It's absolutely huge in terms of teams growing. So really important. Okay, let's get on to the next rumor, shall we? So Noah Sadiki is the next one on the mill this morning. Really interesting one, this. Can't profess to have seen that much about him, but I've watched about 3 hours worth of tape this morning. I looked at a few bits. Rumours broke last night immediately after Jaka Bijol was signed by Leeds United, that obviously Leeds were moving in for Noah Sadiki. Now, looks, as every single player does, the deep dive on the compilations is something that I've done, of course, and he looks very, very, very good on the eye. I'll be quite honest with you. You guys know I'm very up on midfielders and I've got my profiles. But this guy is very, very good. And once again, if Leeds are able to ping off some of these signings that just look like they are next level, and it's backed up as well by the statistics. You can watch the compilations, but you have to big up. You have to look at the empirical evidence as well that is going to sustain your argument when you're looking at someone like Noah Sadiki and when we're looking at Habib Diarra, which we'll get onto in just a second. Progressive passes, 80th percentile. Jules, exceptionally good. Very good when a player's got his back to him. He's able to get his left or his right foot in and around that player and use his body really well in terms of distribution. Good decision maker when he's on the ball as well. Defensively, a monster. Absolute monster. A lot of publications have described him as almost like a mini Kante, which if you're describing him as that, and he's linked with Leeds United for 10 million euros, yes, please. Now, there is other clubs in for his signature. Apparently, Everton are looking at him. Brighton are looking at him as well. But let's bear in mind as well the clubs that were looking at Jaka very early on, very, very early on. So keep that in mind. Don't always think it's done just because other clubs are there and thereabouts. But when I've watched him as well, just this morning, late last night, a little bit reading a bit around him, doesn't look like he's a risk taker, which I like in the midfield. Keep it simple, keep it steady, but he is a bit box to box as well. His heat map is all over the place, which basically says to me that he gets around the pitch very, very efficiently, very composed on the ball as well, doesn't look flustered under immense pressure. There was one little clip I saw him as well of him bypassing a press, and you guys know I'm very up on that. Three players in around him. Looks like he's about to lose it in a very, very key area, and he's able to bypass that press. I think he Cruyff turned it, went the other way, and actually alleviate, got beyond those three players, which was nice to see. Debut under Vincent Kompany and was it Anderlecht? I'm not 100% sure. I might have been through the youth system, but debut was with Vincent Kompany. Strong presence, excels in ball carries as well. Key thing to keep an eye on, obviously, is Atalanta as well, who are apparently very, very interested in seeing him as a replacement for Ederson. I do kind of look at Habib Diarra as well there, and I think to myself, they're very similar. Very, very similar in terms of what you've seen with Habib and what you've seen out now with Noah. So are these some of the targets that Leeds are working on in the background? Is it the shortlist? Is it the one and then it's the two? Is Habib maybe the number one option and Noah is the second option? When you're looking at price valuation, that would suggest, yeah, they're very, very similar. Ball carries, excellent in duels, combative, a huge presence across the midfield, not just in sort of one zone. And that's sort of the Kante comparisons, box to box. So Sadiki and Diarra, there could be a huge conversation here as to, is this just shortlist number one option and shortlist number two options? That keyword again, profiles. I've absolutely kiboshed that 200 quid with Gabe, haven't I? If someone can give me a synonym to the word profile, I'll be happy to hear it. All I can really find is style now. But yeah, it's really, really important that we get someone like that done who is really good in the duels, is really good at ball carrying as well, but just mixes up his game defensively and offensively very decent. So yeah, happy with that one. Happy with that one. If it gets done, looks like it's a really good value as well. Bombers lose Kirkes and go out and get 8. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Did you see as well the value that they've got him for? True fair as well. Yeah, they're exceptional football clubs. Has to be said. Has to be said. I think the probable likelihood is that you've got to have to somehow claim Wolves and West Ham. You've got to do that. You've got to do that. So, Connor, don't rejoice too early. Remember the Dan James farce. I don't know what you mean there, mate. Anthony says, so why talk about selling Gruev and Joseph when we have Verba, Harrison, etc. to sell? Gruev is a good squad option. Based on what, Anthony? Based on what the whole conversation here is, like, we kind of want to litter and this is my rhetoric anyway, by the way, when you've been on this channel, it doesn't mean that we have to go out and get superstars in these top 5 leagues, but I want to see Leeds recruit players that can fill out our bench from these top 5 leagues as well, because that's how you compete. And that's where you potentially have, let's say hypothetically, if we get a Noah Sadiki, if we get a Habib Diarra coming in, and then the sustenance to those players is Alai Gruev. It's not disrespectful to Alai Gruev, but I'd much rather have a Habib Diarra and then potentially Noah Sadiki coming off the bench. Yeah, that's the comparison. That's the level of which we have to look at to compete at the Premier League. You cannot go from, let's say, a Habib Diarra, and we know he's a little bit more box to box, and I'd say he's a little bit more of an 8 in comparison to Gruev, who's a 6. Gruev a little bit more of a shielder, but you can't go from someone who's as complete like Habib Diarra, and then maybe the sustenance off the bench being a Gruev. He's too limited. He's limited at championship level. So it's not based on any evidence. It's based on good feeling for Allegro, and that might be harsh, but it is what it is. I'm a Leeds United fan, and I want my club to stay in the Premier League. That is kind of how we've got to look at it for me. Yeah, agreed. Think Joseph, Verba, Strauk, Grev, Melier, all go. Yeah, obviously Greenwood's linked away as well this morning, isn't it? Interesting. Good to see you in here, Daz, as well, mate. Connor, what do you think about Greenwood to Leicester City? That's the one as well. That's fine. That's fine. When it comes to Greenwood, I I don't know if this is like a Leicester fan's perspective as well, or whatever. I never thought Greenwood was any good. I never understood it with Greenwood, to be honest with you. I got it with Gelhardt. I've got it to an extent as well with Yelder. You guys all know that, and obviously I've got it with Matteo Joseph. Greenwood, I thought it was I just think he's completely below average. I don't think it's a good signing for Leicester. I don't. So yeah, but us getting him off the books is all good as well. I'm happy with that. Okay, Habib Diarra, interesting this morning. Really interesting when it comes to him. Didn't expect to see it. I saw it late last night, actually. So teamfootball.fr have basically done a piece late last night today, all in French. Had to translate it. They're convinced that Habib Diarra is on his way to Leeds. They've quoted the price at 17 million quid. And I might be able to get the actual article online so I can translate it to you guys. And I will do here. Okay, we'll get it into English. It's called teamfootball.fr. And it is just, it's so matter of fact. Strasbourg is stepping up its efforts to replace Habib Diarra and is targeting Mahamadou Doumbia, the Antwerp midfielder approved by Chelsea. A strategic deal estimated at 10 million euros, which reflects the growing momentum of the Blueco project. A strategic time to replace Diarra. The imminent departure of Habib Diarra is forcing racing to reinvent itself in midfield, and Liam Senior, approved by the Blueco unit, has set his sights on Mahamadou Doumbia. Okay, then it goes on about Mahamadou Doumbia a little bit. And then out of nowhere, Randy Orton settings, it basically suggests, just really plainly, it says, Diarra, who is on his way to Leeds United, Royal Antwerp defensive midfielder Mahamadou Doumbia, this is verbatim, is being targeted by RC Strasbourg to replace Habib Diarra, who is leaving for Leeds United. That's it. Full stop. Now, it just seems, so they are completely convinced that he's gone. Now, once again, is this going to be one of those signings that we've spoken about previously that just comes out of the blue? Are Leeds just going to sign Habib Diarra? With everything that's happened in terms of the Brighton interest, many clubs been interested in this guy. Is it just going to be one of those deals that just gets done and we wake up one morning or we kind of get on our laptops or phones or whatever at the end of the day and we go, flipping out, what? And it aligns obviously with Joe Donahue saying this morning Leeds are working on multiple deals in the background. Diarra, Leeds put the offer in for him. Now, is that fee a little bit low? We don't know. They said that Leeds went in with 26 million euros for Habib Diarra. If we got him for 17 million, I can't imagine that includes add-ons. I'm sure there's loads of add-ons including that. That might take it beyond 26 million when it comes to euros. But what's 17 million quid when it comes to euros? What, 20, 21, 22 million euros? That might not be included in the add-ons, which would take it maybe beyond 26 million euros, of which was quoted previously. So it can align with what that report was suggesting last week, that we'd made an offer for him. But out of nowhere, out of absolutely nowhere. So this is what I mean. And James, you bang on here, mate, working in complete silence. I mean, I have to be honest, the be-all deal yesterday, all the reports, the little, following up I did from the Newcastle side of things, it's not done yet. It's not done yet. It's getting very, very close to being done. Apparently the delay was because be-all was, obviously, it was his wedding. But Newcastle are there, and they were there. Villa are there, and were there. Everton as well, sniffing around. And Leeds then just get it done. And we go way beyond what it was supposed to be, because the cap was supposed to be 16 million quid. That was supposedly what the realms of conversation were. Leeds went to 19 million. And obviously Nemetcha just been done out of nowhere as well. Nobody saw that coming. So maybe Diarra is the one they're working on in the background. Maybe that is the one they're working on. And maybe with the offer going in with Sadiki, that is just almost a precautionary thing. Who knows? But if they are to get him, if they are to get him, that is, it could be the best start to the window of all time for Leeds United, guys, in my history of supporting the club with recent memory. That Diarra and Bijol, I mean, wow, that will be a so. But that's what we need to do. They are the deals that we have to do. It's all well and good getting excited about it, but it's almost mandatory right now. You've got to do it. You've got to go out and do that for us to survive. So yeah, got to be said. If we get Diarra, then it is a great start in terms of signing. How you, Colin? How you, mate? Looking at half of you in the stands, none of you. I don't know what you're on about. I don't know what you're on about there. Connor, don't get me excited, 100%. Connor, Leicester in a mess of 1.5. Yeah, I'm not saying that, Dr. Cox. I'm just saying in terms of Greenwood as a player, I never rated him. I never really rated him. I never saw the hype with him. I think it was probably because he was just at Leeds and he was a young lad. It all depends on who Farker thinks can improve further. There is always a player that surprises everyone, 100%. I completely agreed. And just before we get on to the last rumor of the mill, everybody, and we can get into a little bit of discourse and debate. Wow, there's 1.2 K watching. Hello, welcome. This is, I think, record number. So thank you so much, everybody. Nearly 1,300 of you watching. Thank you so much for coming on over. We do have 488 likes, everybody. If you wouldn't mind racking it up, if we can get to 1.3K likes, that'd be unbelievable. It just helps me. It's completely free as well. I'm just going to take a second as well to talk about my sponsor of the channel, sponsors of the channel. We've got the Job Match Group, everybody. Listen, I know of you, a lot of you, and I mention this most days when I'm doing these streams, struggle for work. The Job Match Group are so good in terms of uploading your CV on there and tailoring actual job match sites to your every individual needs, whether or not it's retail, sports, security. I know the security jobs on there right now, admin assistants and stuff like that. You can get involved in all that. Is a Leeds United fan who set this up, and it's so tailored, it's so specific, and it's so niche. It's completely unique to anything I've seen before. That's why I partnered up with the individual who's a Leeds fan who runs the site. Also, I want to mention to you guys as well, Shop GNO, 5% better value than listing your shop on Amazon, Vinted, and eBay. You can become a member as well, completely free through the One Leeds site, everybody, which when the season starts and in this period as well, they're going to set up gifts, rewards, stuff to do with Leeds United as well. We've got listings on there, which aren't just to do with this football club, but is to do with football in general when it comes to kits and merchandise and all this sort of stuff. Have a look on there. It's hopefully going to be making big waves. They're putting big money into it as well. Once again, ran by a Leeds United fan. Match bingo as well, everybody. Club World Championship, Club Championships, whatever they're called. Now, at this moment in time, they've got huge deals on. I think it's a £5 deposit now. Through One League, you can get five cards for the price of 4, and it's really, really worth it, everybody. So get involved in that. Okay, so let's get on to the next discussion point, shall we, everybody? Now, this one, what I have to say about this is this is probably the most rumor mill of all time. Okay, now and we don't normally do this, I have to say. Gabriel Gudmundsson, but you guys, I've had 3 questions in the DMs about him over the past 24 hours. And look, I'm not gonna go into too much where it's from and the credibility of this. What I will say is there is a forum out there of which all Leeds fans are very well aware of, Wacko, very well aware of. And this guy, the only reason I'm bringing it up is because the individual who reported Jaka Bijol, and shout out to him, he mentioned it before anybody, and it was even on the circuit. He mentioned Jaka Bijol, and Leeds were effectively in for him. Obviously, then it started rumoring and building. The same individual has mentioned a specific player that Leeds are interested in, and it is Gabriel Gudmundsson. Interesting. Now, once again, ticks that box again of a top 5 league player, of which I keep mentioning. That would be Jaka Bijol, that would be Nemecha, that would be Gudmundsson if he was to come in, Diarra, all these players, top 5 league experience. Okay. Now, watching a little bit on him, I like him. Once again, this is why I'm going, if this is to happen, I like this guy. I like this guy. We spoke about the the body mechanics of which Leeds work on. 5'10", but his stride length, my God, this guy is a little bit like Rudiger. You know Rudiger when he's doing his celebration? Go have a look at that. When when he's doing the bridging his legs and just extending his legs. This guy runs like that. He's got an insane stride length for only being 5'10". Gets up and down that wing really well. He is a left back. I know you guys have been speaking about left back a lot, quite rightly so as well. His defensive actions are decent, much more of a defender, in my opinion, after watching him than an attacker. I think there's a little bit that he needs to improve on, in my opinion, when I've just as I say, just watched him in the last 24 hours. But like him, I think the decision making is decent. I think it's very decent. His final ball is good. It's got him in one of the top ranked Ligue 1 fullbacks when it comes to his decision making in the final third, when it comes to the variation of crosses into the box as well, and the efficiency and the completion of those passes as well, which I think is really important. His duels are very decent as well. Perceptive. His interceptions and blocks are probably the best part of his game when it comes to, once again, Leeds United getting that profile, that style of player in, where Leeds are ready to defend. Bijol coming in, someone like Gudmundsson coming in, interceptions, blocks, perceptiveness being top of the scale, really, in terms of what we're going to be doing, defending deep. Gudmundsson's decent at that. Good in the air as well. As I've said, 5'10". Shots on goal, very high. He's not a slouch going forward. Now, what I would say is probably the bit which he needs to work on is maybe the ground duels, of which Gudmundsson is going to face in the Premier League. He's lost 58% of ground duels in the French league this season when it comes to individual 1v1 duels. But what I would say is he's been playing at the top league, and he's obviously, a regular for Sweden as well. Looks decent. Looks like a good bet. And once again, this could be right. This is the most rumor. That's why I put no interested clubs there, because I can't even tell you if Leeds are even in for this guy. But what I will say, shout out to the guy on Wacko who did mention Jaka Bijol before anybody else and said Leeds were interested in him. He's come out, broken his silence, the whistleblower, and said that it looks like they're interested in Gabriel Gudmundsson. So keep an eye on that one. 11 clean sheets this season. Top league player. Like it. Don't mind it at all. Gudmundsson reminds, he does, Dan. That's a really good comparison. Do you know what I mean? In terms of that stride pattern. And Robertson's got the same thing, hasn't he? It's not a short stride length. It is. He opens the gates when he's moving. But yeah, it gives him obviously a little bit more when it comes to pace and agility across a short space. But he does get forward and like shots on goal. I think his shots on goal are one of the top when it comes to fullbacks in the French league as well. But primarily, he's a defender and good in those low block instances as well. And that's backed up by his aerial duels and his obviously his blocks and interceptions as well. So yeah, who knows? Who knows when it comes to that? Who knows? But yeah, Gudmundsson, if you guys have watched him before, you'll have to let us know. Sky Sports reckon Newcastle are going to hijack the Bijol deal. Have they said that? Link me that, Martin, because I've not seen that. I know Sky Sports Switzerland have said that they're in the race, but Leeds have signed everything. He's on his way to the medical, so I don't really understand how that works. Keep up the great work, dude. Thanks a million. Cheers, James. Really appreciate that, pal. This is the guy that gets the fans excited. Do you think we'll keep Aronson? He has to go for me. I hope not, mate. I hope as soon as you bring in there's once again, there's types of games of which he can cause a little bit of chaos. And we know with Daniel Farke, he likes to embrace the chaos towards the end of games. Some fans would say that's because he doesn't really have a plan B. Some fans would say that he embraces the chaos and just wants to throw players on and see what happens. Brendan Aronson is a player who can cause that chaos factor in games. Now, could he do that at the Premier League? He was brought in as a Premier League player, but I think he just massively lacks athleticism, physicality, pace, balance. I mean, he scored for the US men's national team the other night, and I don't want to pick on him. It was a shot. It was a scuff, and the keeper has had a howler there. He's had a howler there. And I think that's the thing with Brendan. It's even just his shots in front of goal. He just looks down and shoots. He doesn't feel like there's any efficiency or precision when he's shooting on goal. He doesn't ever feel like he really hits the ball cleanly. I just think a lot of this is going to get exposed in the Premier League. And very much like Junior Firpo, I wanted Firpo to leave because I think he's gone out on a high. I think Aronson's redeemed himself to a certain extent. Some believe that more than others. But I think it's a good opportunity right now to let him go. But it's a completely different situation when it comes to contract length, when it comes to what Leeds can do, when it comes to PSR with Brendan Aronson. Is it a club now with Aronson's stock going to come in and buy him for a decent portion? I don't think they are. Brendan said that he doesn't effectively, he wants to almost get that consolidated period at Leeds again where he's playing and this, that, and the other. He's not a fan of going out on loan. He had an absolute stinker at Union Berlin. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know what they do with him. I can tell you what I'd do with him, but yeah, I don't think that it's gonna be something that Leeds are going to be able to do. That's my opinion. Someone's just asked me if I can do a starting 11 for next season. It's going to be a bit difficult, but I can maybe just get on here if we're just going through it. Maybe some starters of which might be rumors. It could be a nice one, but yeah, let's see if we can just whack some. Should have done this before, shouldn't I? But shout out, mate. I was gonna Gudmundsson. It's not very professional, this is it? So I might have to do that tomorrow, to be honest, mate. I might have to do that tomorrow, but I can have a quick look. Hold on. We got Bijol would be on the right hand side, I think. Jaka Bijol. And then Nemecha. You could go in net with the rumors. Let's go Fofana, because I know a lot of you guys are speaking about him this morning. Yahia Fofana. Okay. On the right hand side, central. I think this isn't what we're going to set up with, but these are like the rumors slash linked players. That's probably what we're looking at so far, I'd say. Maybe just in terms of the rumors. So I can just flash that up now. That's probably what we're looking at in terms of, obviously, Fofana's heavily linked all the time, it feels. Jaka's going to be coming in at Leeds. Gudmundsson, if he was to come in at left back, there you go. Diarra and Sadiki in that midfield are the rumoured players. There is maybe a conversation about Diarra playing a little bit further forward. Sadiki the same as well, but I see him as shielders for that defence. And Nemecha, obviously, as your centre forward. So that's kind of where it will be when it comes to that. Connor, Sky Sports was yeah, mate. That's what we spoke about this morning, Matt. That's what we spoke about this morning, mate. I think it's all sort of scaremongering, though. They're always going to be dangerous. They're always going to be dangerous. Those types of clubs. Newcastle can offer him Champions League football, and he gets in. There's no way Fabian Schär. Well, Schär's probably the best, in my opinion, in terms of an overall centre back when it comes to their centre backs. Lascelles surplus to requirements. Dan Burn is okay. I think I think Bijol's a better defender and a better overall player than Dan Burn. And then you kind of look at Sven Botman as well. There would be a conversation that there may be Bijol and Sven Botman are quite similar. But what I would say is Bijol's more readily available. Sven Botman's always injured. Newcastle have to go and get centre backs. Bijol is affordable. So yeah, I think there's a conversation there as well. Hey Connor, checking in from Minneapolis, Minnesota. I got it right, BMO. That was hard for the alliteration there, but thanks so much, mate. Thanks so much. I really appreciate that. There's been no offer submitted for Sadiki. No, we've not said there has been, mate. But yeah, it's Diarra or Sadiki. That's kind of where I'm at, to be honest with you. But it would be nice. Either of them would be nice, wouldn't it? It really would. Michael says, Premier League, with these rumours, looks like we have a much different team to one that got us promoted. That's the mistake. Leicester, Saints, and Ipswich. I mean, we saw this the other day, and we spoke about this the other day. What Unachu, Southampton, I think, had in the Premier League, Adam Armstrong, and Cameron Archer. I mean, if you guys can float some other centre forwards that they had in the chat, I don't think Shea Adams was with them, was he? I think he was in Torino at that point anyway. That's your centre forwards. What are you doing there? What are you doing? How are you playing? Oh yeah, you're playing out from the back, aren't you? That's why you kind of facilitate those players. You've not adapted. I mentioned the other day as well, Burnley, bringing in Lyle Foster. This is the thing with the context. And at least Luton tried to play to those physical advantages. At least Luton, they brought an absolute diamond in when it came to Ross Barkley, but they finished 18th. Luton, bear that in mind. They're in League One now, but they finished 18th in that pack. Okay, Adebayo up top, Alfie Doherty left wing, who was unbelievable at delivering crosses from a left wing back position, and Carlton Morris in the middle. Gave themselves a chance, tried to bypass the press. Bell, Mengi from the back. There's no mucking about there. It's bypassing a press. It's playing to your physical advantages. Now, I would hope that Leeds would have more quality than Luton, but dotting in and around you centre forwards of Carlton Morris, who is only known really for one thing. Same with Adebayo. With the likes of Barkley and Doughty, it's not bad. It's not bad, and they were unlucky, but they played to their strengths. That's what they did, and that's what Burnley, that's what Southampton, didn't do. And there's so many examples, and that's why I think there has to be context. I completely understand the context of the 17 teams being unbelievable. I completely get that, but I also think there's a way of adapting to the Premier League. There's so much context. Sheffield United have said this multiple times when they went up, losing Sanderberger, losing Illiman and Jai, two players who are suited for the Premier League, which is what we've seen, with where both of them play now. Leicester going up, immediately losing Enzo Maresca, massive problem in terms of continuity. Steve Cooper, Ruud van Nistelrooy, just tumultuous. Southampton not really setting that squad up right from the start. Brought in some good profiles, some good players who can adapt, but some for the future, and replacing Russell Martin with Ivan Juric. What is that? What is that as a replacement? No plan there for me. And it's panic. It's very similar to what we did when we went down. There was panic. So I think there is a lot of context when you look at these teams. Ipswich went up, but Ipswich had a League One side. They had to invest a hell of a lot of money into that side. And there's probably an argument that that might be the way Sunderland go. Maybe they got promoted too early. You can never get promoted too early to the Premier League because apart from, Luton have still got parachute payments in League One, which is going to be mental. But it's never too early, really, because if a team gets promoted, there's a massive advantage for that, a huge advantage for that. The financial implications of getting to the Premier League is massive, massive. So, there's no such thing as getting promoted too early. But when you look at the squad and what Sunderland's squad needs doing to it, it's probably going to be quite similar to that of Ipswich's, So, there's a lot of context, I think, to the clubs that have been promoted. A lot of context, and I think we just get lumped into that bracket like we're going to go down immediately. But I'm not naive to not know. I watch enough football to know that it is going to be a monstrous job for Leeds United. Wolves bringing in Fer Lopez from Celta Vigo is an unbelievable signing. He is quality. Technical level off the scale, mover, ball carrier. It's a top signing. I was going to do a video on the second channel today to see how, effectively about Wolves and the level that they could get to this season. Them having Brazil's central midfield partnership. That probably says a little bit more about Brazil than it does about Wolves. But Andre and Gomez in that midfield, brilliant towards the end of the season. Towards the end of the season, they didn't have a lot of Cunha, even though Cunha had contributed massively to their season when it comes to GNA. But towards the back end of the season, they did really well without Cunha as well. So, yeah. Linked to Gassama, just a very, very top, highly rated, offensive player yesterday. Top player. So giving these teams with massive, giving these teams massive budgets with how good they are in the recruitment department after years of being in the Premier League is dangerous. It's very dangerous. So we've got to make up that gap. And that's why I keep consistently saying the standards have got to be up there. These players that we bring in have got to be of the BL levels for Leeds to compete. Okay. Burnley making a move for Solomon. Right. Okay. Is that true? Is that true? Let us know. 3 or 4 at the back, Connor. Strauch, Bijol, or Bogle, Rodon, Bijol, Gudmundsson. If it is Gudmundsson, mate, I could see it. I could see it maybe being the latter there. I think it's dropped deep. Clark says supposed leaked fixtures of Arsenal. Yeah, I think that's rubbish, mate, to be honest. No, that's rubbish. We always see this. When we went to the Premier League, I think it was the first time round, I remember doing a stream and it was leaked, and we played Liverpool on the first day of the season. I think it had us playing something like Bournemouth, Wolves, and West Ham in our first 3. And I think it was Liverpool. I can't remember. It might have even been Man City in our first 3. I can't remember at home, but you guys all know. But it was Fulham. Fulham were in there, weren't they? It was Liverpool, Fulham, and Sheffield United. So they got them all wrong, and it was leaked fixtures because I did a stream on it. Idiot over here, but you live and you learn. So yeah, I'd take all those with a pinch of salt. You got to think, how many retweets and likes are these people going to get by just putting fake fixtures up there? Yeah, I mean, how many? They're going to get loads, aren't they? Because people bite it. They go, "Oh my god," like you guys have done. But yeah, I'd take that with a pinch of salt. Now, is there? Hey, Ryan, how are you, mate? How's it going? But let's have a quick look. Yeah, Kirsch, I've just cheers for tagging us in that, mate. Cheers for tagging us in that. I saw that this morning, mate. He's on a list of targets. That doesn't really tell me anything. It doesn't really tell me anything, to be honest with you. But I get it. You know, we've not made an approach, but I think there's definitely interest there. Makes sense, doesn't it? And yeah, Burnley have joined Leeds United in the race side. Tottenham star Manor Solomon. I don't want to go too heavy on that. I don't want to go too heavy on that, so we'll leave that for a different stream. But guys, we're going to leave it there. I've been waffling on for way too long. Do me a favor. How many of you are in the building? Has it been a record one lead stream? Has it been a record so far anyway? We've had some good streams in the past, but is this a record? Let's have a look. Make sure you all stick around because I want to see how many of you in the building. Yeah, still 1 point on a room mill. Brilliant. We've got 1.3 of you in the building. Do us a favor, guys. Slap a like on the video. This isn't easy. Doing all this. So do us a favor, slap a like on the video. And yeah, we are your number one source for all your transfer bits as well. And hopefully you're liking the breakdowns as well. I'm trying my best to go away and look and research and put in the hours. So I hope you guys are noticing the change here, the change on screen, and the change with maybe my delivery as well, or evolution, I would say, not change. Guys, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. We will be back probably tomorrow, I'd say, but we're going to be doing bits on the second channel as well. Got some cool bits tomorrow with Callum Fowler. I know you guys like the second channel bits as well. We've got something cool coming with Callum Fowler tomorrow. We've got the fixture live stream from. I'm going to try do it from sort of 8:45 tomorrow, 8:30, 8:45. So the fixture release is going to be from 8:30, 8:45 on the channel. So make sure you join me, and we'll be going through that